Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm talking about the Fate-Stay Night Heaven's Feel collab that has just come back to North America. So, as a general blanket statement before I go any further, this is one of the worst value collabs to possibly roll in. There are no weapon assists at the bottom rarity, and they also comprise 85.5% of the rolling pool, with the majority of them not really being helpful, to be honest. Like, I would not be particularly thrilled to roll any of the ones further down. And because they constitute such a high percentage of the rare machine pool, it's going to be lots of sadness. And to make matters worse, of these 6-star cards, many of them already feel kind of lackluster or almost dead on arrival. Like, they receive new buffs or evolutions potentially, but it doesn't actually change their viability. They feel outdated already. Like, these cards could have been released almost a year ago, and they would have been stronger, of course, but they wouldn't have been even standout exceptions, I feel. Whereas nowadays, they're just lacking by comparison. So, with that in mind, I don't personally plan to roll. And if you are truly gung-ho about this event, roll sporadically or utilize the Monster Exchange system. But without further ado, I'm going to go take a look at each of the individual cards one at a time. So the first is one of the new 6-star cards that have been released, and in their base form they have 777 combo and double devil killer. But I want to stress that their active skill and leader skill are quite similar between their base and evolved form. Their evolved form actually has a 10 combo and a TPA instead of the 777. Everything else is the same. So if you're looking for someone who just does more damage, the evolved form will be the better one to pursue. For their leader skills, they actually have synergy with each other because as dual leaders, they would have 4 times health, 196 times attack, 1 times recovery, and with the evolved form, you get plus 3 combos. When you get the base form, you get auto follow attack. So you want to obviously pair them together because you want to have auto follow attack plus bonus combos usually. And that just gives you a more stable leader skill, but at the same time, if you feel like auto follow attack is not needed, their evolved form pairing dual 2 of them does technically result in higher damage output because you can hit those 10 combos on a regular basis. But with that being said, these are low multipliers. Like, this is not much attack multiplier. It's quite low. The health multiplier, while it is high, has no damage reduction component. And without damage reduction, you are going to have some big issues because any gravity-based attack will kill you, and you're not that innately tanky. Like, someone like Dark Loki has a low attack multiplier, but he has massive effective health and massive recovery at the same time to back it up. So he can stall through basically anything, whereas this individual cannot. And as a sub, I feel like they will be glossed over for spicier options if you have them available. For instance, Iori and Leona are both devil attackers with the same main primary color, and they have stronger active skills and more personal damage due to higher base attack and just more offensive awakening. So unless you're needing someone to absolutely kill devils, which is probably overkill at this point, they will not be a stronger option compared to what you could possibly have. And that just is unfortunate. Like, they're already being released behind currently existing cards, and they're fulfilling a relatively similar niche, I feel. For their weapon assist, they have a single skill boost and that same 1 turn delay with creating 3 dark and hard orbs. So you could potentially use this weapon assist to give yourself 2 effective skill boosts, but the thing is that follow-up attack is probably going to be somewhat redundant. Like, many leaders have auto follow-up attack. You might have follow-up attack on a given card anyways, somewhere on your team. It's not that hard to find. And if you're looking for effective skill boost weapon assist, this only brings 2. There are quite a few options out there that give 1 skill boost and either like 2 haste or 2 delay, or any combination that gives 3 effective skill boosts. There are options out there that have that, so they're not surpassing what's currently available. If it was a 2-turn delay, then sure, you can make more arguments that this weapon assist could be more valuable because it does give many more effective skill boosts. But at the same time, it's not giving many other helpful awakenings, and a 1-turn delay isn't that impactful, I feel, overall. On the bright side, the next card is the Orb Skin card, who is one of the stars of this event. And Sakura is a 30-turn transforming card. So in their pre-transform state, they have 3 enhanced hard orbs, and they have a large RCV stat. So they can naturally replenish their health with relative ease. And their leader skill is still reasonable. They have a modest attack multiplier and 75% damage reduction when you match 50,000 health worth of healing from heart orbs. So that's kind of a weird thing when you think about it. But if you have four heart orbs on the board and they're all enhanced, and you connect them all as a TPA, you get that damage reduction. With dual leaders, this should be even easier to achieve. And the idea is with that 75% damage reduction, you have 4 times effective health. So you can tank quite a bit of punishment with relative ease, and you also have a respectable attack multiplier, so you can actually possibly kill a floor or two. Again, the dungeon you're playing through will obviously dictate whether or not you can stall or not, but you have the capability. It's kind of like a Sindrag, or kind of like those key heroes that we had from a previous event. And once she does transform, she has wonderfully strong personal damage. She has 777 combo, 2 attack roll above 80%, which does have a bit of a small window for success, but it's still additional damage output there. Has a VDP, and their active skill has been heavily revamped. It's a 2-turn active skill that's basically like Norza's. You get 3 dark orbs, and you also get 1.5 times orb movement time and 1.5 times attack. So you have more than enough movement time for any matching, and you have now, if you use dual leaders, an augmented attack multiplier, because with 2 of these leaders you can use 1 active skill every other turn, or every turn, because they have a 2-turn cooldown, which means your effective leader skill multiplier is now 1, 600, 1, and 75% damage reduction. And this damage reduction occurs when you match 7 or more combos, which should be doable from essentially any given board. And this amount of effective health is meaningful because, again, you can stall through the vast majority of content without dying, and because it only needs 7 combos, it's not tied to, say, dark blobs. It's much easier to stall by comparison. And in order to fully activate your leader skill, you need to match 6 or more connected dark orbs, which is definitely doable, and you get bonus combos for doing so. So that means she's able to utilize any sub who has, say, 10 combo awakenings with dual leaders, or you could even pair with Nell because of her balanced typing. Point of the matter is, you have access to high attack multiplier, you have access to large number of combos, you have orb generation on a regular basis, and as a whole, I feel like she is quite a powerful leader. Obviously, the main drawback is you need to wait 30 turns, and you actually cannot monster exchange for her. She's an orb skin card, which means you can directly purchase her, but they took her out of the monster exchange system for that reason, I presume, so it encourages people to actually IAP. Whether or not you think this is a nice idea is up for debate, but it does hinder how many players will have access to this leader, and to a certain extent the viability of a leader comes down to how many pairings or friends you can really find. A leader could be strong, but if no one actually has them or uses them, they will become lackluster. And lastly, I kind of get like Lysithea vibes from Fire Emblem Three Houses, which I think is great because she is a wonderful character. As a weapon assist, she gives full bind immunity and 60% blind resist, and an active skill that is quite jam-packed. You get orb movement time, you get attack multiplier, you get a full heal, removing all binds and all unable to match orb effects. That's a wonderful amount of utility squeezed into a single active skill, and the bind immunity and blind immunity, or blind resist, can help patch up problems on your team. So this weapon assist will naturally be best on a card who has a low base cooldown, who is ideally bind vulnerable. So 2 cards that come to mind are Diao Chan or even A10. Both of those have low base cooldowns. They can definitely benefit from the bind immunity, and this extra utility through the active skill can be meaningful. The main drawback of this weapon assist is, well, she's a hard card to acquire to begin with, and it also competes with this powerful transforming form here, which will probably give you more value in this point in time. With that being said, once she does fall off or you do acquire stronger cards to utilize, you can convert to the weapon assist to enjoy the utility it does offer. And here's the weapon assist that it does come with. Next is Shirou, and Shirou used to be a unique leader in the sense that he had terrible awakenings. He still kind of does actually, but he has high leader skill multipliers. In this day and age, those multipliers are not particularly high, and the lack of damage reduction means you're vulnerable to all the numerous gravities that exceed 100% of your health or gravity plus hit combinations. Either way, it becomes a fragile leader skill, and the fact that they have no personal damage unless you make a 3x3 box is going to be problematic, along with the fact that you need to hit 9 combos. It's just a lot of anti-synergy within himself that it just makes him a little lackluster. And if you are truly gung-ho about this type of playstyle, his reincarnated form is a stronger option because it has better multipliers. But the problem is this leader skill is restrictive. You have to have fire cards for attack multiplier and dark cards for the health and RCV. So ideally you have fire and dark cards at the same time, which does impose quite a bit large restrictive penalty on your team building options. And as I mentioned already, There's no bonus combos, and if you don't hit those 10 combos, the attack multiplier is lower, but the damage reduction is missing. And without that damage reduction, so many spawns in Shirou Realm will make you incredibly sad. And it's just going to be quite a restrictive leader. And at the same time, you might think, well, he does have high personal damage, but it's nothing truly exceptional. He is 777 combo with 4 latent slots and 3200 base attack. Not a bad attack value, but nothing truly magical. He's not going to be setting new records for damage dealt, or he's not going to be like the best damage solution out there. So I feel like he's just kind of in an awkward spot. He's trying to do multiple things, but not exceeding in any one particular metric. With his active skill, it does create it does have some interesting usage, because it does create a 3x3 box of fire orbs and then +2 combos. That is helpful for ranking dungeons or like farming, but the problem is those bonus combos add extra animation, which can be a drawback for those situations. But at the very least, you still make up to 9 fire orbs, which can be utilized to deal combos or match that 3x3 box, which is pre-generated. If you don't want to lock yourself into this reincarnated evolution, which is a reasonable assumption, perhaps pursuing the weapon assist might have some merits. It's not the greatest weapon assist, I feel, because of the long cooldown, which hinders the chance of you getting that haste for effective skill boost, and it only has 40% blind and 40% jammer resist. Not bad, but not great, especially for a top rarity card. Again, it feels a little outdated. This weapon assist could have appeared like a year or year and a half ago, and it would have been nice, but it would not have been like, wow, amazing, and that definitely holds true today. Next is Saber. And Saber in her base form originally was a unique leader because she has rainbow potential while also being able to overcome void spawns because she could utilize VDP. Fast forward to today, and we have infinitely more solutions for void spawns, to the point where we don't need to be pursuing a VDP match for rainbow teams to overcome void spawns. We have active skills that damage void, or we just use the VDP latent on a hard-hitting card, and they solve all of our void needs right there. So Saber's kind of main niche, so to speak, has been greatly diminished, and as a result, her kit has become more lackluster due to the fact that those VDPs, like, they still can take effect, but they're just not going to be providing personal damage unless you match that 3x3 box, which is going to be difficult considering you want to match all 5 colors. So the only thing you can change are heart orbs. Yes, you can change heart orbs with her active skill, but at the same time, it's just a health heal and heart and hazard to water orbs. It's not that impactful as a whole, and you do deny yourself the chance to heal or make a follow-up attack to kill resolve spawns, which she does not have access to. The leader skill itself needs to match up to 5 colors. It has a scaling multiplier, so it has some flexibility, but you also have to be above 50% health. But on the bright side, if you are above 50% health, you have 75% damage reduction, which in turn should means you can survive basically any hit, and you should be able to keep your health above that half threshold in order to survive. But at the same time, there are much stronger rainbow leaders available who have an easier time. They can get more combos, they have auto follow-up attack, they have either a void, damage void, active skill, or you can just use VDP latent so you don't have to actually interact with Blue Saber's kind of unique kit, so to speak. On the bright side, her dark form is quite a bit stronger. As a damage solution, they have 3 attack while below 50%, they have a 7 combo as well, and they can have access to Devil, God, or Physical Killer latent. So a reasonable spread, but they have respectable base attack of almost 3,400, so they have large amounts of personal damages, up to 16 times when you match 7 or more combos and are low health. So at this point in time, one of the greatest or strongest attack while below 50% leaders is Yux. But Yux tends to make their own orbs from their active skill, and Yux does not need to match combos. Most of my Shirou Realm clears have between 4 to 5 combos on average with my Yux. I can make few combos and deal stupendous amounts of damage, which in turn means that 7 combo is going to go to waste. I'm seldom hitting 7 combos, so that's just not going to play in effect. The VDP is not necessary because Yux has more than enough. So I feel like as a potential Yux sub, Saber is outclassed by obviously a dupe Yux, or a Lucifer, who I feel is probably the best alternative to having a duplicate Yux. But on the bright side, their leader skill is quite powerful. They have 2.25 times health along with 75% damage reduction, which in turn gives them tremendous bulk. They have over 6 times effective health. They can withstand tremendous amounts of punishment, and they should be able to heal that back with relative ease. Furthermore, this damage reduction triggers from 4 or more colors, which should be doable for most given boards. And even if you don't have 4 or more colors, you'll have probably around 100,000 health or so, which again might be enough to tank a hit, and you should be able to heal up and find those 4 colors at a later time. And you only have to be below 80% health to trigger your full 441 times attack multiplier when you match those 4 colors. Obviously, you want to be below half health to get the personal damage, but the fact that you have high leader skill multipliers does give you an advantage. Dark Loki is a tremendously strong and tanky leader, but their leader skill multipliers are lower. It is compensated by his higher personal damage, but damage output does become an issue. For Saber, that is not so much an issue as long as you can keep your health below that 50% threshold, which can be done with their active skill, which does produce a board without hearts, as well as 4 colors, which does give activation. So as a whole, I feel like Saber is a potent leader. Not going to be as strong as other options because there's quite a bit of juggling involved, along with the fact that their health reset is not as reliable as Dark Loki. It's a 3-turn for Loki versus 5-turn for Saber. It's a little bit, you run the higher risk of not having as high uptime, but perhaps the attack multiplier can compensate for that if your subs are primarily 7 combo based. For Saber's weapon assist, it provides an attack roll below 50%, which is powerful. It gives 2 times personal damage to the owning card. But the problem is, I feel like it's one of the weaker attack roll below 50% weapons, along with the fact that you're taken away from using her dark form, which is quite powerful. So I wouldn't pursue this weapon assist unless you have multiple duplicates. And the reason for that is, you do get that attack roll above 50%, but there's no other helpful awakenings. I feel like the time extent is probably not going to be necessary, and things like Gluttony or Hera Luna's weapon assist, which gives a skill boost for Hera Luna, or 2 Dark Orbs enhance for Gluttony, is much more meaningful as extra awakenings, and the active skill tied here is a bit short on the cooldown. It's going to charge up at a much more frequent basis than you might necessarily want. It might accidentally charge up at a bad time, and you're left with an active skill that may not help you out. So with all those taken into consideration, I wouldn't pursue this weapon assist unless you have multiple duplicate sabers. For Rin in her first evolved form, she has some leader skill multiplier. Like, it has 2 forms of damage reduction, but it's not that much effective health. It's not like 75% damage reduction is 4 times effective health. This is a bit less than that. It might be enough to survive most content, but for herself, she wants to be above 80% for her small amounts of personal damage. It's probably not going to be that much. So as a whole, I'm not that attracted to this form. In all honesty, I would much rather pursue her new evolution because it provides much more value. With her new evolution, she has 4 enhanced Heart Orb Awakenings, which grants her a respectable amount of healing output, and she can definitely function as a healing solution. Her 6-turn active skill creates a column of hearts and then 3 light and 3 fire orbs from non-heart orbs. So that can give you that auto follow-up attack should that be required, or it just gives you a chance to heal and give maybe some offensive orbs. She also has access to Super Jammer Resist. The main drawback with her is that I feel like she competes heavily competes with Amaterasu. And Amaterasu has a much higher RCV stat, which in turn gives her a greater healing potential. Amaterasu has 1 more effective skill boost with the haste, and the active skill clears all bind and clears 4 turns of bind and awoken binds, which is definitely meaningful in content, as opposed to just a flat orb changer. At the same time, Amaterasu does lack that super jam resist, so that can be helpful. And Rin's active skill, I feel like, can be a solution for the 3rd floor in Shirou Realm. The reason for that is after Lucifer's puzzle, you get a full board of dark orbs fall down. All 30 orbs are dark. And then you possibly encounter the spawn that does the gravity hit, and then you're left at 1 health with a full board of dark you can't activate. With Rin's active skill, you get that column of hearts to give that auto follow-up attack to kill that spawn potentially, and some heart and fire combos, which could possibly help you hit activation. But the point of the matter is, it might be a way for you to get out of jail free, so to speak, from that spawn. It could be a possible solution, but as a whole, I feel like I'm a bit more interested in Amaterasu, mostly because that haste component can help cycle and stall a bit more easily. But again, if you have Rin, it might be worth experimenting. For her new weapon assist, she gets tape resist and 40% blind. Those are not bad awakenings, but at this point in time, I feel like tape resist is not heavily needed. Like, I don't need tape resist in Shirou Realm. Tape resist I find doesn't come up that often as being something that you must have. It can be useful for sure, but as a whole, it's not going to be a widely used weapon assist. Along with the fact that the base active is a 6-turn or 7-turn cooldown of unskilled, means it's going to activate at an inopportune time on a regular basis, which again can be problematic. For Gilgamesh, who is the final 6-star card in this event, his base form has double 10 combo awakening, which is 25 times personal damage, and the ability to use any killer latent. That can definitely be meaningful as a damage solution card, but he is marred by his terribly low attack stat. This is quite a low attack stat. Like Iori and Leona, I think, have almost double the attack, or maybe double or more. So his offensive output is definitely hindered by that. And in addition to that, his active skill I find is lackluster for, like, say, Shirou Realm or Arena style content. His active skill can be good for farming, but it's just like, it doesn't work well across other sort of dungeons. And the reason for that is it's a 12-turn cooldown, which makes it difficult to inherit over. Yes, you could skill charge it up, but the effect itself is quite lackluster from a Shirou Realm point of view. The reason for that is it's just a 1-turn of 5 times attack boost. Sure, you get a large attack multiplier, but it only lasts 1 turn. And the more durable spawns in Shirou Realm require multiple turns to kill, so you want multiple turns of burst. So you're kind of overpaying for a 1-turn burst. This 150,000 damage 5 times does nothing in Shirou Realm. It can be useful for farming because that is equivalent to 750,000 damage via a button. But in Shirou Realm, it's going to be problematic. So as a whole, I feel like Gilgamesh can function as a damage solution, and it can work on your dire teams if you need a dark color coverage. The bounce typing means I believe they could be used on Valentine's Ideal or New Year's Reach. I get them confused. But the point is they could function as a possible damage solution, but I feel like compared to, like, say, the truly great ones like, say, Leona and Iori, their active skill is lacking by comparison, which does obviously hinder, I feel, their overall viability, along with the fact that this attack stat is quite low. For their evolve form, I see no true reason to actually make this evolve form. You take a step down in damage output. So you already had low, well, slightly higher base attack, but now your attack multiplier went from 25 times to 10 times. Not a good deal. And this leader skill is a 7x6 that needs to have 12 or fewer orbs remaining and hit 8 or more combos. Like, it's a glass cannon 7x6 leader. It's not something that's truly going to be meaningful. I feel that Gilgamesh in their base form should be the form pursued by most players because it actually has the most meaningful personal damage. Now we come to the 5-star base cards. And I feel like as a whole, these cards are underperforming because they don't have weapon assists. And the reason for that, the reason why they underperform is that you don't necessarily want to use them as a sub because they could have questionable awakenings, poor stats, and their active skill may be the most appealing aspect of the card, and sometimes that active skill may only be helpful as an inherit, which is obviously better as a weapon assist because it confers awakenings. Regardless of all that, let's just take a look at what they have to offer. So, Zouken is the only new card added at the bottom rarity, and they have 4 wood rows. They have super poison resist, but their main appeal is going to be a double row maker that also removes all awoken skill binds. It's an interesting combination, but it generates you a row of wood at the top, row of wood at the bottom, so plus 12 wood orbs potentially. So that can obviously be utilized to match, like, say, 1 row and then save the others for the next floor. It could be used to get 2 rows for easier and bigger damage activation, or it can be used in conjunction with a mono board changer. So a mono board changer would be something like, say, Machine Noah, who gives you a full board of blue, and then you activate this active skill right afterwards. That will give you a split of 18 water orbs, 12 wood, which can be rearranged into various patterns. You can get multiple rows, multiple combos, you can get VDP, whatever you need to do. It's much easier, and the fact that it always has the same predictable results gives you that nice consistency when farming content repeatedly. Double row makers are always going to be helpful for that application, for giving you extra orbs for offense or for breaking up mono boards to give yourself an easier solve. Obviously, the value of this card will hinge on how many other double row makers you have, but at the same time, you can farm a double row maker from this event, if I'm not mistaken, from Servant Assassin, because that's where I got mine last time. This individual here is just a disaster. I cannot fathom anything that any point of utilizing this card. Their stats are terrible. They don't have any meaningful awakenings. I don't know what they do whatsoever. They have an active skill that gives you a gemstone style burst based on the L's on the team, but you won't have many L's on the team. It scales at the same rate as the other awakenings. I don't see any purpose to this card. Shinji has essentially no use either, I feel like. Maybe you could argue that like locking the whole board has some interesting tech value, but there are many other ways you can lock the board. There are quite a few different options available, and the secondary effect here doesn't provide much either. +1 combo after locking the board is not that great. I would not want to utilize them as a sub, maybe as a weird inherit if I have no other lockable option to overcome spinners, maybe. But at the same time, many spinners could probably be danced out anyways. Like, only some spinners are problematic, and as a whole, you probably could find ways to overcome those anyways. Servant Archer, again, I feel falls flat. Yes, they do have a 7 combo and a 10 combo, but if you're not going to be utilizing them for like traditional endgame teams, the damage output's going to be far too low. The active skill is not meaningful. Maybe for like 5-star rarity challenge, they could be a possible damage solution, but again, hitting 10 combos could be difficult. And at the same time, I'm not exceptionally excited about like pursuing cards for 5-star rarity challenges, mostly because you probably have acquired so many 5 stars anyways that you probably could build a competent team, that I feel like you shouldn't be chasing cards for that purpose, because those challenges are seldom seen. And at the same time, the truly great 5-star cards probably have more value anyways, and they come from different events, so you probably would be pursuing those there anyways. For Servant Lancer, he provides a top row of water and a bottom row of fire orbs. So it's a double row maker, but a little bit more restrictive, because unless you use a wood, light, or dark board, you won't have an 18-6-6 split. Perhaps if you're accepting a 24-6 split, that's okay if you use a mono water or mono fire board changer, but either way, it's slightly more restrictive. But again, double row makers are always helpful, and his active skill cooldown is actually a bit on the lower end for that reason, I feel. Servant Berserker goes berserk and does absolutely nothing. I don't understand, like, maybe it's a truly terrible budget Yurisha sub, but Yurisha is not a particularly special or popular leader, and this is not a card you want to bring on the team, so I can't fathom any purpose to Berserker whatsoever, unfortunately. Like, too many L's are not heavily pursued. Some team HPs, some skill boosts, full heal, unlock orbs, reduce damage by 50% for 2 turns. Like, these are effects that's like, Gungo's kind of like, oh, what should we give this card? Let's give him a bit of everything, but not actually anything meaningful. Servant Rider is the only bottom rarity card to receive a new evolution, and it's her new evolution that we should be looking at because it outpaces the base form in basically every way. In her new evolution, she gives you 7 effective skill boosts, 4 from awakenings, 3 from a delay. Woo! Anything that transforms will like that. She also has meaningful personal damage. She has a 10 combo, a 7 combo, and the ability to take any killer latent, so she can deal meaningful damage while providing effective skill boosts through that delay. So this does definitely help, but the problem is I feel like she competes so heavily with Alatu, along with having no skill bind resist. Alatu has an L, she has a board change with a delay, so a board change with the delay is stronger than a button that heals an insignificant amount of health. I'll take a board changer any day by comparison. Alatu also has an L, which is missing here, I don't know if I said that, an S skill bind resist, and a super poison resist, so quite a bit more value as a whole. On the other hand, Servant Rider has different typings and stronger personal damage. And that in itself might be what's important for yourself. Like, if you need a sub that does more personal damage while finding skill boosts, and you don't care about the poison orbs, that sort of idea, and the board changer, Servant Rider can definitely be utilized. And the fact that she has a different typing compared to Alatu can enable her to be used on different teams. Her balance typing is something Alatu does not have. So you could utilize them on, say, like Chris paired with Nell teams. You could definitely do that. It is a possible option. Either way, I feel like she is definitely the strongest bottom rarity card, mostly because this is actually a usable form. It does fulfill helpful niches. You have 7 effective skill boosts and meaningful personal damage. Next and lastly is Servant Caster. And Servant Caster has the ability to have 2 devil killers and 2 physical killers, along with the ability to use physical or devil killer latents. So as a whole, they are just a devil or physical killer solution. That's the primary role they will function as. they could have been a strong weapon assist if they had a weapon assist, because this active skill is quite appealing. It gives you 2 turns of color absorb void while giving you a column of dark and a column of dark on either side. So 10 dark orbs potentially with 2 turns of color absorb, which is meaningful in Shirou Realm where the Manoas have color absorb, or there's other color absorbs throughout the dungeon as well. So this would have been a helpful active skill through an assist. I wouldn't want to inherit them with no Awakenings transfer. I'd rather use, say, like the Jewel Sacred Key, which gives me a bicolor board of Dark and Hearts with a 2-turn color absorb. Like, I'd rather use that by comparison. So it's unfortunate they don't have a weapon assist. If they had a weapon assist, they could have been much more appealing. But since they don't, I feel like they'll just be utilized as a physical or a devil killing solution for like ranking dungeons or farming purposes. So, do I plan to roll and dream rolls? The answer is no, I do not plan to roll within the Fate collab, because 85.5% of the times I will be acquiring a bottom rarity card, and while Servant Rider has some value, it's not that amazing. Like, it's not something I would be pursuing, I feel. Like, if it happens, I'll be happy as one of my dream 5-star cards, but at the same time, the vast majority of things will be sad, and at the same time, most of the diamond eggs are sad. But if I could get 1 magical pull, or 2 magical pulls, I should say, I would get Servant Rider for 5 stars, because it's something that's a little different than Alatu, even though I have her. It just gives me a bit of box flexibility. And for the 6-star cards, I'll definitely pick Sakura, because that transforming state is quite appealing, and she just feels like a strong card overall. And I can't like directly monster exchange for her, so it'd be just nice to acquire via rolling. So, in conclusion, I feel like the Fate collab is a disappointing affair overall. The 6-star cards, most of them feel kind of dead on arrival. Like, they just feel outdated despite being brand new. And one of the 6-star cards you can't even monster exchange for. So, it's just a frustrating event as a whole, along with the bottom rarity cards not really offering much to a well-developed monster box. At the same time, there still could be some players who want to roll in this event, and if you are one of those players, let me know why you rolled and who you were hoping to acquire, or did you just utilize the monster exchange system? Either way, hopefully you all have a fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.